Okay, welcome back to another video, and I just got back from Elemental. Yeah, the movie. So you've probably been hearing a lot about it if you watch YouTube because it's Pixar's, new big thing. It's their new big movie. And, Pixar is obviously very popular. So, everybody knows about it. So, I just got done watching it, and I honestly thought it was pretty good, despite what, some people say. I thought it was very good, although I did, me and my parents noticed a lot of plot holes in it. Stuff that doesn't make any sense. Such as, how are their houses made out of wood when some people are wood, right? And other stuff like that. So, I do think that if you go into it knowing that it's supposed to portray what it was like coming to America as an immigrant, I think it's much better than if you just watch it without knowing any of that. But I do think that it's a very bad choice by the maker to decide to make it stuff like elements, because in some of the cases, you can actually justify why some people are being racist and segregating stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that it's justified at all in real life or anything. I just think that it's a little bit of a strange decision that the creator made it elements for multiple reasons. That and the fact that, like I pointed out earlier, there's houses made out of wood when people are wood. And, it's just very strange. And I don't know. I thought it was very good, but the more you think about it, especially after you leave the movie, it gets worse, I guess, the more you think about it, because it's you realize how strange it really is. And yes, I'm very bad at Trackmania. That's the game that you're watching me play right now. I suck at it. But back to Elemental. So, I did point out a lot of things, such as, if you've seen the movie, which, I mean, spoiler warning if that isn't obvious if you haven't seen the movie, but Ember, the main character, tends to explode when her temper gets the best of her. She gets so angry that she causes a little explosion, which causes a pipe to burst, which ends up escalating very quickly. But I think that, say you're in school, right? And, it's all the elements together, and then a kid who is fire element is getting bullied. And they explode, with anger. And they end up killing or severely injuring some of the other students around them. Now, a lot of the racism towards fire that we see in the movie is unjustified. But some of it, such as log people not renting out their houses to fire people, seems kind of reasonable when you think about it. Just because it's a very poor choice that the creator of the movie chose to make them fire in wood, for example. Because if you know, fire and wood do not go very well together. I mean, wood burns. So that it would make sense if they're scared and they don't want to rent their wood house to fire people. And another thing I found kind of confusing about it was also the fact that, when fire people touch wood stuff and other stuff, it doesn't burn. So that made me think, so they're, in control of when they do it, which makes sense. But then when Wade gives her a hat at the game, that game where, the Clouds were playing, kind of a basketball-like game, yeah, the second that he puts the hat on her head, it just explodes. And I think that it was super dumb that, the people who were testing if the glass was sturdy when she plugged the leak hit it with a sledgehammer, because, that could have broken it, which, yeah, that would have shown that it was not sturdy, but, I mean, you also hit it with a sledgehammer. So, even if it didn't break it, that could severely injure the glass, which, would make it not work, And I think that Wade was a complete idiot in one part of the movie, because when you see the whole reopening ceremony for the store that Ember's parents run, and that Ember doesn't want to take over, but that her dad's, thinks that she does, so he's gonna make her take it over. During that ceremony, Wade just comes in and is like, "Your daughter doesn't want to run the shop. She loves me." And I'm like, "Wade, you absolute idiot. Why would you come in there and say, yeah, I think that it's completely, your daughter does not want to run the shop." You realize how bad that is. You realize how dumb that is, right, Wade? Like, you can't just do that. That's a very bad decision. And he does address that he's a jerk, which I think makes it even dumber. He's like, "Yeah, I'm a huge jerk." And then why did you do it? Because, yeah, it was, okay, yeah, movie, it helped the course of the movie. But that doesn't make it any less of a dumb play by Wade. And, I mean, I know it's like written characters, he didn't have a choice, but it still just made me cringe when he walked out there and said it. Because it's Fire City, like, everybody there doesn't like water. But I think something that was very interesting is that when they first came, by them I mean Ember's parents, when they first came to Element City from Fireland or whatever it's called, very creative name, by the way, they, like, got splashed by this water guy on the train, right? Which, I mean, I watched it, looked very intentional, but they weren't looking. How would they know? And, he got very, like, he was just like, "I hate water," which is a fair response for Fire to say, because water puts out fire, right? But that also points out how bad of a decision it is to make them elements. Because while that's reasonable, it's still racist towards water. In the whole movie, we see water being racist towards fire, but then we realize, isn't Ember's dad sometimes a little bit racist to water when they don't even do anything? And, I mean, it's like, it's very interesting and bad decision to make them elements instead of something else. I mean, I know that they want to appeal to kids, but if you don't understand that the movie's supposed to be about immigrants and stuff, you might find it very weird, and maybe even a bad movie. So if you hear bad reviews, they might go into it not knowing too much, or they might just not like it. But personally, I really liked it. But the more you think about it, the stranger it gets, because you really just have to see it to understand what I'm talking about, because it's just such a weird concept. Like, I think a good example of how destructive Ember is specifically is when she goes into Element City to try to get the report back that Wade wrote to, like, have her shop closed. She went to, like, that tree guy Fern's office to try to get it back, and then, like, got angry because he didn't want to give it to her, and she blew up his whole office, basically. So that's not good, not a very good look. And I also think that we see a lot of water people and log people not be racist towards fire. Too, I feel like it's kind of a thing where only when they want us to feel like fire's being left out, then people are racist. I feel like it's very controlled by the movie when people are racist, because in the movie, we see she goes to the game, and there's tons of water people, there's tons of log people, all of them accept her, no problem. Nobody cares that she's there. She's like another person. Even though she's the only fire person there, nobody gives her any funny looks or anything. Another example is, like, there was only, like, that one water guy, right? Nobody gave them really the stank eye or anything. It was just, like, only when they were, like, coming, like, Ember's parents were coming to Element City from Fireland, and they wanted you to feel like that they were being, like, left out, right? Only then were people racist. They couldn't find a home, only then were people racist. And throughout the movie, we do see people be racist towards fire. Sometimes, like Ember not being allowed to see the, well, I don't know what it's called. I just watched the movie and I forget. But not being able to see that flower. If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's resistant to all elements. No elements can destroy it. Yet fire still wasn't allowed. Right, and if fire isn't allowed to see it, and that's in the subway station, that also leads you to assume that fire, can't use the subway, right? Because no fire allowed. So, that just was supposed to kind of make you have like a sob story, because they saw, they went past that place where it happened, the central station or whatever. I forget what it's called. So I just feel like it's kind of, to me, it kind of felt like an on and off thing. Like Wade's whole family was nice. All the people at the game were totally, they didn't care that she was there. It was totally fine. Wade's boss was totally fine with it. When she goes into the city, nobody's actively booing her like racism in real life back in the 1950s and stuff. People would be being very mean and just harassing you while you were just on the streets, and that didn't happen in Elemental, really. You didn't really see that too much. It was only when they wanted you to feel like fire was being left out. Like, for example, in the immigration center, it said the first people who came were like, I think it's the water people, then it was the earth people, then it was the wind people, right? And never showed fire because they wanted you to feel like fire was being left out. And I also feel like Ember's parents were like the only fire people to kind of ever come there. They didn't see any other fire people until they started the Fire City. Sorry. Oh, sorry. But it's just a very confusing movie when you think about it. I kind of just wish that... God, I have a cough. So, I just kind of wish that it wasn't Element so that it could convey the point more. Although, it makes sense. It's Pixar. It's supposed to be a kids' movie, and they want to market it towards kids. But, yeah. Oh, God, my throat, dude. So, it's just not as, like, it's just, it doesn't really convey the immigrant story how you would expect it to, because they're elements, right? It's like, yeah. And I'm so confused why Ember and Wade could touch each other, because that would not work. I mean, I don't care if they can turn it on and off. That just wouldn't work. Logically, based on what we see in the movie, that just wouldn't. If Ember can't touch water, because we see her, get destroyed by it when the pipe bursts. We see her head get partially disappeared. But now she can touch water just because it's a person. That doesn't make any sense. And Wade comes back together towards the end when they make him cry so that he falls into the bucket and comes back together. That makes no sense, because how come crying would make all the water come together and go there? That just, it's very confusing. But if you can look past all that and you just see it as a movie which conveys the immigrant story, it's pretty cool. It's a very good movie. Animating is amazing because, it's Pixar we're talking about. They always have great animation. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you have an amazing day. God, my throat hurts. Bye.